Hey, super awesome listeners. This is Katie. I just had a couple quick announcements before we get started today. The first one and the biggest one is that we have now made enough episodes that we've surpassed our storage limit on our hosting site. So that means that we are going to have to upgrade and start paying a monthly fee if we want to keep all of our previous episodes up for listeners to go back to or new listeners to be able to hear, which we do want to do. So we now have the donate button on our blog site, and you can click that and donate anything you want, $1, whatever, because our fee right now is only $10 a month. And hopefully before we have to upgrade again, we will be able to be in a position to have some sponsors. And we won't have to ask for donations by that time. But if you could help us out just to pay those storage fees and make sure that all of our content is available for everybody all the time, that would be super duper radical. So again, you can go to our blog and click the button to donate. And also, I just wanted to throw another reminder out, last call for artist trading card images. If you would like us to share your image on our blog when we talk about when we do our episode about artist trading cards, please make sure that you get those emailed to us. We'll give you a little bit more information about how to do that at the end of the episode. If you do email them to us, please make sure also that you give us your name or a link to a website or anything else you want shared about you, because we want to talk up our listeners because you are all so awesome. All right, enjoy the show. Thank you very much.
Unicorns and glitter and taxidermy critters are just some of the things they like. They also enjoy 80s hair bands, Grizzly Adams and John Goodman. So if you think that's weird, then you can take a hike. But the things they enjoy the most are making art and cracking jokes. So without further ado, here are your hosts. You've got your two artsy gals, your two artsy gals. Here are your two artsy gals.
Hey, this is Katie.
This is Sharon.
And this is the Two Artsy Gals podcast. And today we are going to talk about sealants and why we need them and how we use them. And I think Sharon and I are just going to go through some of our favorite sealants. What are some situations that you use sealants in, Sharon? Just off the top of your head.
I use a lot of sealants in my jewelry to either seal a patina or use resins as a sealant. So that is where I use a lot of sealants.
Yeah.
Where do you use your sealants?
I actually surprisingly use them. I think there are very few situations that I don't use them anymore. Just like I can say that I use them in my mixed media work almost all the time. Mm-hmm. I think the only thing that I really don't use them in is like acrylic paintings, because that acrylic paint doesn't really need a sealant.
Yeah.
So depending on what you're painting on, but like if I'm painting on a canvas, I don't use that. But I use a lot of sealants for a lot of different reasons. I think we're going to get into today, like Sharon and I picked some of our favorite sealants, and we're just going to go back and forth and talk about what we use them for and why we like them. Sharon, I will let you start off and go first.
Okay. Well, one of my favorite sealants is ice resin. It's a 2-part epoxy. And the reason that I like it, I use it in jewelry. I'll put little images into like bezeled trays and make the little pendants. And the reason I like that particular sealant so much is that when it dries so hard. It won't scratch, and it holds up really well, and it doesn't yellow, and the image always stays really crystal clear.
I was just going to ask if it yellows, because I actually have a tube of, you know how it comes in like a big syringe with 2 tubes where you squirt it out? I have another tube of that, and I don't know what brand it is, but my husband gave it to me, and when I was sorting through sealants and adhesives this weekend, I noticed that it got really yellow in the tube. I just threw it out. It's really yellow. So that's cool to know that ice resin doesn't yellow, because that's icky when that happens.
It does not. It does not at all. And it does a pretty good job of not bubbling when you're pouring it. So I really like that. It is pretty, you need to be pretty careful with ventilation with it. So having an open window and a fan drawing out, or in a really open room, because it can be pretty toxic to breathe in. But I think that one is probably the best one on the market as far as keeping things clear. And when you're making jewelry, you don't, well, anything, but it's going to be pretty thick when you're putting it in those bezeled trays. So you don't want it to yellow or bubble.
No,
you
yeah.
want it to keep the image clear.
How does it do with when you put it in on paper? Does it make the paper like wrinkle with the moisture of it at all, or does it keep it nice and flat?
It keeps it really flat, but then it's flexible. So that's really cool because you can almost like dip it in it and it doesn't crack.
Oh, that's really cool too.
It's really interesting. It's really cool. So it's really malleable and folds. So that's kind of fun because you can like tear up little pieces of paper and hang them from something, or you could just cover it, cover the paper. I haven't really used it that much. I used it more like I ripped up little pieces of paper and dipped them in it and then had them, could hang those off of jewelry.
Oh, that's a really neat idea. That's really cool. That's awesome. Well, I have to remember that because I'm actually going to be doing some stuff with two-part resins here in the near future. And I have actually never used it specifically as a sealant before. But
yeah, and it's nice because it comes in pretty big bottles, but you don't have to use up the 2 bottles. So if you're like, oh, I don't think I'm going to use all of this, you could mix up half of it and then save the rest of it.
Okay,
like,
so
without
it's just,
mixing,
and it's a 1-to-1 mix ratio, right? Equal parts. So, and then the 2 parts stay good on their own if they're not mixed together for pretty long time. That's cool too, because I actually have had stuff where you have to mix it all up at once, and then I'm like, well, what the frick am I going to do with the rest of this?
Right, that's what's cool about this. You just have to measure it out really carefully.
Yeah, so, I actually have an old Weight Watcher scale that I bought at a garage sale that I use for measuring anything like that, because I think ounces work better than teaspoons or eyeballing it when it comes to stuff like that. So
yeah, that's a really good idea. So what's your one of your favorites?
Well, I'm going to go with my absolute very favorite because I love it so much. It's called Dorland's Wax Medium. I'm going to spell that. It's DORLAND''S Wax Medium. And I was turned on to this by my friend Lisa, who I was doing a round robin book swap with. And one thing that you run into with book swaps like that, like we've spoken about previously, is that people in different climates with different humidity levels and different heat levels, sometimes if you don't seal your work, the pages stick together and then they get ruined when you try to pry them open. So this Dorland's Wax Medium, because Lisa's from Texas and it's really hot there, and she lives in a part of Texas that gets pretty humid. So, and even here in Portland, like this week, I feel like I'm going to freaking die. I feel like I got shoved up a giant's big butt or something because it's so humid here. This prevents the pages from sticking together. So that's really what I started using it for a lot. So you would just, it smells so good. I kind of want to huff it like all day long. I'm kind of sniffing it right now. It has almost a little bit of a honey-ish, but it's kind of a little bit chemically. I don't know. I probably should not have just stuck my nose in it and breathed it, but, it's kind of it has a weird texture to it. It's a soft wax, I would say. And when you apply it, I just scoop a little bit up on a paper towel and I rub it, and you can tell when you have enough on when you're spreading around. It doesn't take that much, but it kind of glides across the page as you're rubbing it on, and then you shouldn't feel like any scrubbing. Then you don't have enough on. But I just apply it with a little piece of paper towel, and I let it sit, and usually overnight, unless it's really cold, then it might take a little bit longer, but it needs to set up and dry, and you can just leave it like that with like it kind of has a dull, waxy look over it. It's clear, but you can see it. Or what I prefer and really like doing is taking a t-shirt, one of my husband's old t-shirts that I cut up and use, and you take a soft rag, like a piece of cotton t-shirt, and you buff it.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's
and it
awesome.
makes it real smooth and shiny. And I use it in all of my, almost every journal page I do for like, or altered book page for mixed round robin stuff. And recently I just mailed off a book for a challenge, and I don't know if it was my pages or not, but I'm feeling kind of bummed out because one of my friends said that some of the pages were stuck together when she got the book. So she's going to stick in the refrigerator and see if that, because sometimes when it cools down, you stick it in the fridge, you can pull them apart. But and then I realized when she said that some of the pages were stuck together, I was like, oh, I didn't seal my pages. So
oh no.
Other than using it in just for round robin stuff, I've actually started using it to seal almost all of my mixed media work. Mm-hmm. And it works really well, and it keeps, because sometimes it also prevents things like, every once in a while, after a while, the glue kind of lifts on stuff sometimes, or something like that. It really helps stabilize your whole piece.
Oh, so, awesome.
And I love it. Cool. And I think that you should use it because it's super cool. So
awesome. That's rad. So the next one I want to talk about is the ultra thick embossing enamel. So this one, there are good things and bad things about this one. I have used this the way that I used the ice resin in jewelry before. So let me explain what it is. They're extra large embossing beads. So if anybody embosses with like stamps, it's basically the same idea. Rather than a powder, they're little beads. So they're basically
Didn't you just give me a big jug of those recently?
I probably did.
A big can? Yeah.
Yeah, a big jar.
Like a clear plastic jar, yeah.
They can be really cool. I think they're better on paper products. They do advertise that you can do them like in those bezeled trays for jewelry, and you just pour them in and heat them up. But what I've found is that the resin cracks when it's too thick.
Oh.
So if you have it in one of those bezels, they end up cracking if those bezels flex at all. So then you can go back and heat them up. That's kind of cool, but if you sell jewelry, then that person's not going to be able to do that, and it scratches a lot.
It does.
So for like jewelry, it's not really great because they end up scratching up a lot. But I think like if you used it with stamps or on paper, or you can melt it in like a heat, like a hot plate, like in a little tray. They have even a special one, and you could make it into a liquid and like dip things in it.
Oh, so yeah, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, like dip paper or dip, I don't know, whatever you'd want to dip in it. I think that would work better. So I think there's pros and cons to that one. And that's a product by Ranger. It's the people call it UT or UTEE or ultra thick embossing enamel. So
now I've used that, and I'm actually glad that you said that because I thought that I was doing something wrong with it because I was using embossing powder for the process, but then you gave me that heavier stuff when I was sealing the skull cameos that I made, and I would dip them in it and then heat it, and it did crack on the thing. And I thought, well, I thought it was user error. Like I thought that maybe I did something wrong or I didn't use it correctly. But you're saying that it has a tendency to do that.
Yeah.
No matter what. Okay.
Yeah. So I think for jewelry, it's actually not as great as like an ice resin that's super hard.
But it does have its place. I could imagine like maybe dipping beads or something, or like little things like that in it. Because I've made like paper beads and stuff before that.
See, I think with that would be a really good
thing. Because you know those cool little paper beads that look like little tubes? They end up looking like shells.
Yes, I love those.
I think that would work really well with those, don't you?
I think so. I think you're right.
That would be absolutely
really cool.
So,
and again, with that, you want to use ventilation. It's not as strong as the ice resin, but you do want to use ventilation.
Oh, that's good to know, too, because I never noticed a smell with it. But
yeah, it can be. It's a slight smell. I would notice a little bit of sensitivity to it.
Like, well, clearly we've just revealed that I like sniffing things, so...
Right. So I'm not a huffer, and Katie is. No, just kidding.
No, I'm really not, but only if it smells... I don't know. Some things smell good, even though, like, they're not supposed to. But only certain things, like bleach and Dorland's Wax Medium, apparently.
Ooh, oh my god.
Not together.
That just gave me a stomachache.
Oh no, I it ain't clean unless it smells like fucking bleach in my house. I know it's a weird thing that I got from my mom.
I just made a really hideous face, by the way.
She totally made a horrified face because that's my dirty little cleaning secret. Like, everything I clean the house in has bleach stains on it because I use bleach spray. Like not just straight bleach, but like cleanser with bleach in it. Because
that's nar.
That I love the smell of it. I like going to the pool because it gives me that, like, chlorine smell. Wow. Okay, well, let's just reveal all of my weird little...
Yeah, all your dark
idiosyncrasies. So, I think the next one that I was going to talk about is... Shit, I gotta look at my list. Oh, I was going to talk about hairsprays and reworkable fixatives. Reworkable fixative versus hairspray, I guess. I don't know. So, I use a lot of soft or chalk pastels. And with those, you know, we've covered that before in our episode about pastels, that they need a sealant on them because if you don't seal them, they'll rub off. They'll smudge or smear, and the stuff will rub off. So most people, or a lot of artists, choose to use a reworkable fixative, which I like using sometimes because of the reworkable part. Because you can draw on top of it. And
cool.
it stays consistent and it looks the same. Like, it's not a done deal once you seal it with the reworkable fixative. However, that is it's pretty caustic stuff. And I don't like huffing that. So you need ventilation. It's pretty smelly. And I've actually, depending on the brand, I've had allergic reactions. Some of them have something in them. And I don't know what it is, but even if I use it outside and let it dry outside and bring it in and touch it, my hands start itching and my lips get purple. Like, get puffy and purple. So, I have the brands that I can use and I know what I can get away with. But again, I don't like using stuff like that if I don't have to. However, if you're working on either a charcoal drawing, because this goes for charcoal as well as chalk pastels and the Conti crayon, like anything like that brushes off, you're going to have to seal. So any work in progress, I would say even with some graphite pencils, if you're using really soft pencils, any work in progress, you're going to want to use a reworkable fixative. But if you do what most of the time I do, which is I just go with a drawing until it's done and I don't really stop until it's finished, then I use hairspray instead of reworkable fixative. And I think I talked about this also in the episode that we did on pastels, but any cheap ass, like Aquanet, if you can find Aquanet anymore, hairspray, you don't want one with like extra conditioners or anything weird. You just want the cheap, nasty hairspray. And it works just as well to seal your work as the reworkable fixative does. Nice. And I think, like, in a situation where you're done with it, or if you have allergic reactions to that kind of stuff and you don't like using really nasty chemical stuff, I would use, and plus it's way cheaper.
Yeah, right? I love being able to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Aquanet hairspray, if you can go to the dollar store, it's 99 cents a can, yo. Get it. So, whereas, like, the reworkable fixative, I think the bottle I have right now is, like, what is it, Krylon? Maybe? And that, I think it was, like, $8 or $9. Which is, I mean, it's not that much.
It's $8 or $9.
But it's still 8 or 9. It's $7 or $8 more than hairspray.
Right.
So, but I do like that, and it is something that you need in those situations. So.
Yeah. Nice. So the next one that I want to talk about is it's by Ranger, but it's sold by Vintage, and it's a glaze. It's a metal sealer and patina extender, and I use that in my jewelry. And it's great just to seal the patina paints on there. That's what I use it for. That's what I've strictly used it for. Do have to put a couple coats on it. The thing I like about it is that you can mix it with the patina paints.
And that's good to know.
Paint it on and then sand it off. Or you can just paint it on there straight over the patina paints on the metal. You do need to use a couple coats because sometimes it doesn't go, it kind of beads a little bit. And it beads off of the metal.
I think I noticed that when I used this, because I used it for the first time recently when I was doing the copper work.
Yeah.
I noticed that it kind of beat it up a little bit on the first coat, but I thought that that was because of the oxidation treatment that I did on it, because it made the surface kind of uneven. But
yeah, you probably just want to go and do another coat, but I like it also because it does prevent the oxidation. So, so it's a nice. I like it. It's a good product.
Good.
And it's not very expensive.
No, and I didn't notice a real bad smell from it.
No, I haven't ever had a problem with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can get it through. Well, you can get it through Ranger, but you can also get it on the Vintage website. You can get it anywhere people sell Vintage.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think I ordered my bottle of it from Amazon.
Or Amazon, you can get.
Yeah, I should be buying it at local stores, but sometimes
you just need your shit mailed to you.
Sometimes late night in your office with your credit card is not a good place to be.
Yeah.
So,
oh my god, that's funny.
yeah, no, I like I said, I recently tried this too, and I really liked it. One thing that I did notice about it, and I was going to ask you about, it seems to be a little bit glossy.
It is a little bit glossy, yeah.
Do you know if they make a matte?
I don't think so. I haven't seen a matte one.
I mean, it's not super bright. It's not super high gloss,
Yeah,
but I did
super,
notice that it
yeah,
was a little
but
glossy.
it is a little glossy. That's true.
So, but I I just did a little bit of research and found that, like, this was what I found that I thought would seal the copper I was working with, because I wanted the patina that I forced with the ammonia to just stay the color it was. I didn't want any more oxidation to take place.
Oh.
So I sealed it with that, and it worked really great for my purposes too.
Oh,
so
that's good. Awesome.
So what else was I going to talk about? You know, another old standby, and I use off and on for a lot of stuff, is just clear acrylic spray top coat. I use it on a lot of, like if I'm using wood, especially balsa wood or any kind of wood and stuff, I would use that. One thing that I think you need to be careful with is paper, because it will make the paper, like, it's probably not appropriate for most paper projects. But I've even sealed, like, I've used that to seal mixed media with pastel in it, like the chalk pastel and stuff. But more often than not, I use it on mixed media assemblages. Anything that I've painted on, anything that I wouldn't use the Dorlands on, because the one disadvantage about Dorlands is the wax medium is that if you're using, if you're sealing something that's really textural, sometimes it's hard to buff that and get it mixed in good. Like the wax gets in the grooves and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it's hard to smooth out, and then it looks like poo because there's this little weird blob stuck in there.
Right.
So in those situations, I would use just a clear acrylic top coat.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's good to know about the Dorlands too. So.
Yeah. So and that does create a problem with me in some cases. So because I actually really, I'm going to go back to the Dorlands a little bit, but I really like the texture that it gives a piece of paper or a project.
Yeah, I like that waxy.
It just feels really cool. It's a really cool, and visually, it's a really neat texture too. So I try to use it whenever I can, but like I said, sometimes when you're working in a really textural piece, it's not realistic to use it. So I love the clear acrylic top coats, and also I use it to wrangle in my glitter situation.
Oh, yeah.
Because that thing that I mailed you for our naked mail, the big glittery flower.
Yeah, not much comes off.
Had I not sprayed it to within an inch of its, I think there are probably 5 coats.
Wow.
Of that clear acrylic spray top coat on it, and you can get it anywhere. Like, you know, it's easy to come by. You can get it at Fred Meyer. You can get it most places. You have to go have somebody unlock a glass case, because apparently people steal spray stuff so they can breathe it, huff it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't huff that.
Yeah, don't huff that.
I'm not that kind of a huffer. No, dude, I went to high school with someone who like, he fucked himself up doing that. He's never been right. Like, yeah,
I've seen, that's not...
He huffed enough varnish that he's just always been a little touched in the head since. Yeah. Like... So, another good reason to make sure you have good ventilation, because you don't want to end up with your friends going, she's a little fucking touched in the head now. Like, you don't want to end up being all kooky. But yeah, so, I think we had talked about safety with caustic sealants and proper ventilation. So yeah, we've covered pretty much everything. But I guess, do you have any others that you just use once in a while for anything, or?
I don't really. Those are kind of all the ones that I use.
Yeah, I was going to say every once in a while I use Mod Podge as a sealant to seal something, but not very often.
Yeah.
Because it gets that sticky, tacky
yeah.
situation to it. So yeah. Sealants, man. You gotta use them sometimes.
Use them.
Yeah, so your artwork doesn't get all screwed up and stuff. Cause
that's right.
You don't want to get it screwed up. You want it to last a long, long time.
You want to be able to open the pages.
And yes, you don't want to have someone get a book and go, douche, I can't see what you did because your pages are stuck together.
That's right.
So, and thanks for ruining my book with your sticky pages.
That's right.
So, I think this is the last episode I wanted to throw out there and make sure that anybody that's interested in having your artist trading cards posted on our blog for the episode that we're working on in August for artist trading cards, you can email us pictures of them. And when you do that, please make sure you send us your blog information so we can link back to your blog or your website and your name, whatever you want people to know about you, basically. But I just thought it would be kind of fun if we used our listeners' examples and show what you all are working on instead of always doing I knocked something off my desk. Instead of always just using me and Sharon's examples. So you can send any pictures. Scans usually work better than a photograph if you can do that. But either way, go ahead and just email them to us at 2rcgals@gmail.com and we will post them when we talk about artist trading cards.
Sweet.
So
love it.
If you have any questions or you want to talk about a specific sealant that we didn't talk about, or you want to tell us how super awesome and gorgeous and beautiful we are, you can also email us at that email address. And I think I'll have a few show notes this week. We'll link to I'll put links up to all the products that we used and an image of each product. So you can find that at our blog, which is 2rcgals.wordpress.com. And as always, you can subscribe to our podcast through Stitcher and use the free app on your phone, or you can also subscribe to it through iTunes. And in both places, if you like our show, leave us some good feedback there and give us a good rating so that everybody else will listen to us too. I think that's it for this week. Sharon, you have anything else you want to add?
No, just have a great week.
Yeah, have a great week. And then, what are we going to say?
Make some cool shit.
Yeah, have a great week and make some cool shit, yo. So, we will talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.